What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a full warm-up for legs. Now I get this question a ton, how to properly warm up before a leg day. And I'm gonna show you my go-to leg warm-up routine when it comes to my lower body days on both Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because your girl is working legs 3 times a week. We're doing a quad and glute focus, a hamstring and glute focus, as well as a full lower body day. The reason why a proper warm-up and a proper mobility routine, which you can check out in my other videos, is to make sure that we have full range of motion during our exercises. That is going to help us get the most out of our exercises and get, again, that strength, the endurance, and making sure that we're doing the best for ourselves during our workouts. So if you guys like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will do other warm-up routines if you comment below which one you want to see. But for today, it's lower body, so let's get into it. Let's get started into this warm-up. So very first thing we want to do, just like always, is we just want to warm up our body a little bit. So today we're choosing a nice little treadmill walk. This is on an assault runner, but you can do this on any treadmill at all. Or you could also choose the option of doing a Stairmaster or maybe a bike, whatever you want. I typically like to warm up on the treadmill from anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll even pop on a small light resistance band just to get a little bit of extra activation, but by all means, just a regular treadmill walk to warm yourself up is perfect. Now that we're all warmed up, we're going to head into our dynamic stretches. So first things first, we have our front and side kicks. So here we want to make sure our shoulders are staying square as well as our hips. That supporting leg is staying relatively straight as well as that foot is planted. Now our free moving leg can be slightly bent, as you can see, for those front and back kicks, as well as you're going to see it's even more bent on my side kicks. This allows for just a slight stretch of my hamstrings throughout the motion, as well as better opening up of my hips if I just let that leg swing freely in a range of motion that it's comfortable in. Now in terms of sets and reps here, I go anywhere between 1 to 2 sets for 8 to 15 reps. This really depends on how tight my body's feeling as well as how much time I have for my workouts. Just like any other exercise, we do want to make sure that we're hitting both legs and that way we're keeping it even. It's totally natural to have a slightly tighter leg than the other. Just make sure you're always working in a range of motion that feels comfortable. This is just a warm-up, so we don't have to be going super hard, super heavy in our kicks. Again, just letting our body move nice and natural through the range of motion. Next up, we have our mobility flow. So we're gonna start off into a deep squat. So sitting as low as you can, you're gonna rock your weight from left to right. I find this helps just get a greater range of motion. I'm going to both lean forward as well as sit up straight. The lean forward just really helps stretch out my low back. I find sometimes it does get a little bit tight, and in which case when I'm exercising, I can sometimes feel it, but if I do stretch beforehand, it does help a lot. Next, we're gonna sit up nice and straight. This just simply mimics the bottom position of something like a front squat, which typically is my first exercise. Next, we're gonna extend upwards and just go into a straddle stretch. This one I'm reaching actually quite far back behind my feet. Depending on how flexible you are, you can just simply reach for your toes. This is gonna help stretch out our hamstrings before our lower body day. Moving down to the ground, we're gonna go into our lunge complex. So starting off with our front lunge, knee stacked over toe, pushing that hip to the ground to get a nice big stretch in our hip flexor. We'll then rock back into our hamstring stretch, flex that front toe, reach past the foot, as well as keep that front leg nice and straight to get a nice big stretch. We'll then maneuver into our Cossack squat, or if you can't do Cossack, you can always do a lateral lunge or perhaps put a yoga block or something elevated underneath your glute. For those of us who can Cossack squat, you're gonna follow the rest of the sequence. We're gonna internally rotate that bent knee and then lean forward over that front leg, getting a nice big stretch, and then we're gonna return back and do a couple internal rotations. Now, if you can't do this part of the sequence, doing lateral lunges and then into a pike stretch will work just fine. So a pike stretch is just sitting on our bum, legs nice and straight, and reaching towards our toes. This will allow for that same hamstring stretch. Back to the Cossack reps, we're just gonna be going back and forth between left and right to stretch out each leg, about 2 to 3 reps per side, and then we're gonna maneuver back into our front lunge. We're gonna repeat the exact same sequence that we just did, but just on the other side. You're gonna notice I don't hold each stretch for a long period of time. It's anywhere between 10 to 15 seconds because this is more of a dynamic mobility flow. They're not gonna be strict holds. I do wanna make sure that I'm moving fluidly throughout each of the movements, and yes, I'm holding, but not for a super long period of time. While you're doing this mobility sequence, you do want to make sure there is no pain or pinching, so do make sure you're working in a range of motion that is pain-free. Up next, we have some static stretches, so we're going to start off with our leaning ankle mobility. This one, of course, by the name in nature, is going to help warm up our ankles and get a better range of motion for all our lower body movements. We're going to simply put our leg on an elevated surface and then lean as far forward as possible. Knee is clearly way over my toe, which is totally fine. We just want to make sure that heel stays nice and planted and that there's no pain or pinching as we're doing it. Turning ourselves around, we're gonna be doing our hip flexor stretch next. So this can either be done on a box or on the ground. We're gonna have our heel right to our bum, either with our hand, or you can always use a band for assistance. We're gonna have our hips square, core tight, and pushing our weight forward to get that stretch all the way into the hip flexor as well into your quad. We're gonna hold anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds. Activation time. So we're gonna be grabbing a light band, a mini band or a TheraBand, and looping around our feet. We're gonna be stepping from left to right, just back and forth. So I call these monster walks. This, you wanna focus on making sure our knees are pushed out the entire time. We have a slight knee bend and we're focusing on activating our glutes. You don't need to do these very fast. You do want them slow and controlled, and making sure that your feet also stay parallel through the entire movement. Using that same mini band and keeping it in the exact same spot, we're gonna do our 3-point steps. So we're gonna be stepping forward, middle, and back. All of the weight should be primarily in that stationary leg, and the free moving leg should be tight and with tension through the entire motion. We wanna make sure that when we're stepping back, we're squeezing our glutes, and as our steps are going forward, middle, and back, that our knees are not caving in at any point. Our hips also should be staying square through the entire motion. In terms of reps for both of these exercises, it'll be anywhere between 30 seconds or 12 to 15 reps. Our last and final exercise of our warm-up is just gonna be bodyweight broad lunges. Here we wanna focus on mind-muscle connection, so as we're stepping and going into the deepest part of our lunge, we're squeezing all of our muscle groups, we're very aware, and we're also paying attention to our form. We wanna make sure that front leg stepping forward is fully facing straight, not caving in, and that back leg is just hovering above the floor, even though it's a broad step lunge. We also wanna make sure our hips are nice and square and that we're driving up through that front leg and really squeezing our glutes at the very top. Here we're gonna go anywhere between 20 to 40 reps. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And again, if you wanna see any other warm-ups that I do, make sure to comment below, and I will see you guys next time. Kill your leg day, have the best warm-up ever, and absolutely crush it.